Hello there, this is Instructor Paul, and in this lecture, we're going to cover installing Windows Server 2016 Core Edition. Now, this installation is very similar to the other installation that you've already completed, but I wanted to cover it since we're going to be covering different topics of Windows Server 2016 Core. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, I have my ITF Core 01 server created, and I've mounted my Windows Server 2016 ISO. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and continue on with this installation. So I'm going to click Install Now. And for those of you following along in the lab environment, I've connected it to the same network as my ITF-DC01 server and the whole environment. Okay, so on this screen, I've entered my license key, and I'm just going to click Next. Okay, so here's where we're going to choose either the desktop experience or server core, which is also known as just Windows Server 2016 Standard or Data Center. And basically the difference is it won't say desktop experience in parentheses. And you can read here under the description, this option is recommended because it reduces management and servicing by installing only what is needed to run most server roles. Now you can't run every single server role that desktop experience can, but you can do the primary ones like file and sharing, Active Directory, Windows Server Update Services, and things like that. So what we want to do is make sure we choose the version that is not desktop experience. In previous versions, you might see it actually spells out server core, but now it just calls it, the regular operating system install. Microsoft's really pushing people to try and install this version of Windows Server because it's a lot more lightweight since you don't have the graphical user interface and all things like that. Okay, so we're going to click Next. We need to accept the license terms, and we'll click Next. And we're going to click Custom. I'm just going to choose this drive 0, 127 gig, and I'll click Next. Okay, so now the installation is going to begin. So once that's done, we can configure the VM, we can rename it, join it to the domain, configure its IP settings. So let's go ahead and just wait for this install to finish, and we'll pick up from there. All right, so the installation is basically done. Now we just need to do a few things here. So we can see here the user's password must be changed before signing in, and this is for the administrator account. So we can use our up and down arrows here to select the different options. I'm going to choose OK, and I'm going to type in the new password. Okay, so it's now changing the password, and it says your password has been changed. So I'm going to click OK or press Enter to go through OK. All right, so the installation is now complete. So you'll notice that was quite a bit faster than the installation of server with a GUI because it's just installing a lot less things. Now, this is just your regular cmd.exe that we use for all of our GP updates and things like that. But on server core, the way that we configure this server is by running sconfig.cmd. Okay. And that's going to load up this little configuration window. And this makes it really easy to configure our server. So right here we can see, here's the server configuration. We have the domain workgroup, computer name. We can add a local administrator, configure remote management, Windows update settings, all those kind of things. So the first thing that we're interested in is the network settings. So I'm going to type in the number 8 and I'm going to press Enter. Okay, so now we can see our networking settings. So what we need to do is to select the networking adapter, and I only have one, and it's this first one right here. So I'm going to press 1 to select that adapter. And now we can either, set the network adapter address, set DNS servers. I'm going to go with option 1, and I'll press Enter. And so now we need to decide, do we want to set DHCP or static? I'm going to type in S for static. Now I need to enter that IP address, and I'm going to use 168.0.6. I'll press Enter. And I need to do the subnet mask. Now, if we leave it blank, that's going to be 255.255.255.0. So I'm just going to press Enter. Now, the default gateway is 192.168.0.1. Press Enter. Okay, so now we can see the updated settings here. We're using .6 as our IP address. It took the subnet mask 255, and DHCP is not enabled. We have the default gateway. So now we need to set up a preferred DNS server so that we can join the domain. So I'm going to select option 2 here for set DNS servers. Okay, so the new preferred DNS server is 192.168.0.10. And let's see, preferred DNS server set. And the alternate is going to be 192.168.0.11. Okay, now I have two domain controllers, one's .10, one's .11. All right. Okay, so now we're going to enter option 4 and we're going to return to the main menu. Okay, so now we're going to join the domain or the work group. So right here, work group is just work group is option 1. So I'll type in 1, I'll press enter. And we want to join a domain. So we're going to do D. Press enter. And the name of the domain is itflea.com. I'll press enter. And now we need to specify the authorized domain user. This is going to be the administrator account. But if you have your own, user account that's on there that's a part of the domain administrators, then you could use that account as well. Press enter. So now I need to type in the password for that user. Okay, so now we need to say, do you want to change computer name? Yes, I do. So I'm going to say yes. Now enter the new computer name. I'm going to do ITF Core CORE01 and I'll press enter. So now we need to again specify a domain user or an authorized domain user. So I'm going to use the administrator account. And I'll type in the password. And now it says you must restart your computer to apply these changes. Restart now. I'm going to say yes. Okay, so the server has rebooted. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to my ITFDC01 server, and we're going to find this computer in our Active Directory users and computers console. Okay, so here we are logged into our ITFDC01 server. And what we're going to do now is select Tools. We're going to open Active Directory users and computers. And I'm going to maximize this here. We're going to expand the domain itflea.com and we're going to click on computers. And here we can see our ITF Core 01 is located right where we expect it to be. So that is how you install the Windows Server Core Edition. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. I sure enjoyed making it for you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next one.